As the Kansas City Chiefs wrapped up day 2 of training camp, we got a lot to discuss, including a huge update involving Kadarius Toney's injury and also 2 rookies that are standing out on the offense. But before we do get into all of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. Let's get straight down into business and let's discuss the news of the day. And the first alarming news, if anything, is Kadarius Toney. Yesterday, he left practice early. And early, like in the first few reps of receiving punts, the reports came out saying that he tweaked his knee. Now, going in today, we got more reports and we got more comments, mentions from the team, and we'll start with Travis Kelce saying that he's hoping that Kadarius Toney will be ready for the season and has his fingers crossed, which makes you raise an eyebrow a little bit because when you hear a tweaked knee, you're thinking, okay, maybe a few days, maybe a week, and he'll be back into camp. But the fact that Travis Kelce is saying he's crossing his fingers, that he won't miss significant time, is like, okay, what's really going on? And then Adam Schefter tweeted saying that he did sustain a tweak to his knee, but also that Kadarius Toney had a procedure on his knee this offseason, which I didn't know about. I don't know if anyone in Chiefs Kingdom knew about because that was slid under the covers and wasn't discussed at all this offseason. So that was surprising to me, and I was wondering, well, why wasn't this discussed? And maybe it was under covers for a good reason, because the key topic of conversation surrounding the Kansas City Chiefs, and specifically Kadarius Toney, is injuries. And last thing they want to do is say, hey, don't discuss any procedures going on, and he will be fine, and he will be ready to go. And maybe they rushed him back too soon, and that's why he happened to tweak his knee. Honestly, how I'm viewing it now is proceed with caution. I don't see Kadarius Toney coming back anytime soon. What I mean by that is I think he'll be ready for week 1, but I think he'll be like in a limited fashion at best throughout training camp, and we might not see much of him through preseason, which kind of sucks because that is something we do not want to discuss, is injuries, and specifically with Kadarius Toney. But also, this gives guys time to shine and mold into the system, and this is a loaded wide receiver room as we have been discussing throughout this offseason. So boys will have a chance to make the team and make a name for themselves. And speaking of wide receivers that can make a name for themselves and not fill Kadarius Toney's role, but help add on and provide production throughout the season if it is a lengthy injury, is Rashee Rice. And he has been a standout in camp, and I feel like it's something that Chiefs Kingdom has also pushed him aside a little bit, probably because he is a rookie. Because when you ask Chiefs Kingdom who's going to be their wide receiver number 1, they mention guys like Kadarius Toney, or you talk about me and Sky Moore, or we even go to the links of Justin Ross can be huge in this league. We mention everybody besides Rashee Rice, and I think it's because he's a rookie. But this rookie is making plays in camp. And you can see he is building trust with Patrick Mahomes. And it's a sight you love to see. He had an amazing play again today over Trent McDuffie again. And as much of an amazing play as it was, let's just talk about how great Patrick Mahomes is, because the ball placement on that throw was a thing of beauty. But also, even though it was a beautiful pass, it was also him saying, hey, go up and make a play, Rook. And that's exactly what Rashee Rice did. Trent McDuffie was in perfect position on this pass, and it was just perfect ball placement and trusting your wide receiver. And these are the type of throws you want to see happen throughout training camp, because you don't want to have it happen in game and see if it works or not. This is the time to do it. And the fact that this relationship is being built now makes me think Rashee Rice may be involved earlier than later than what we anticipated, and he may be really productive his rookie year. Now, I know that doesn't fit the mold of what happens with wide receivers in the Andy Reid system, and they don't transition well in their rookie year, but maybe this is different. Maybe this is something we should expect. And It's something that Rashee Rice even mentioned as well on he molds his game after a guy like a DeAndre Hopkins. And that's a receiver the Kansas City Chiefs have been looking for a while, is someone just to go up and get the football. And you could tell, if Mahomes has that kind of trust where it's just, I'm lobbing it up and you better come down with it, that could be one of Mahomes' favorite targets. So I'm not saying Rashee Rice is going to be Rookie of the Year by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm kind of amping it up a little more to say he might be better than what we all anticipate in his rookie year. Now, I was only anticipating him maybe to have a little more slightly better production than Sky Moore did his rookie year, but if he's doing this now, and of course, as I mentioned, I need to see it in game, but if he does this in the preseason games, there's no reason he shouldn't be on the field early on in the season. And let's stick on the same trend, and let's stick on the offensive side of the ball. Let's stick on the rookies, but this dude is undrafted. It's the Fresh Prince of Kansas City himself, Deneric Prince. And boy, this dude, he is so much fun to watch. I remember earlier in the summer, people had comparisons saying he looks like Niall Davis, and he's even wearing his number, and you can see the similarities. This dude is like yoked up, and he looks like a freight train and hard to bring down. And it's funny. The only critique a lot of people had on him was his hands, but this dude seems to be catching every pass, and he seems to be a favorite target for Mahomes, for Gabbert, for any quarterback that's out there. He was like, I bet I ain't got hands, I'll show you guys. And that is huge in this Kansas City Chiefs offense because Coach Reid loves his receiving backs. And I mentioned earlier on, everyone has a hype train for Justin Ross, which is rightfully so, nonetheless. But if someone's going to have a just as big or as big of a hype train, it's going to be Deneric Prince. And he is going to fight his way to make it on this roster. Kind of like what Isaiah Pacheco did last year. He's here to take a grown man's job. And the concerning part is that could be Clyde Edwards-Helaire's job. I've heard he's had a good camp, but nothing too crazy of what like Deneric Prince has done. But it's going to be interesting to see because that RB3 position is going to come down to a Deneric Prince or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think it's also going to be how serious is this Isaiah Pacheco injury. Pacheco did say he will be ready week 1, but the Kansas City Chiefs, they love those veteran experienced backs out there. They got Jerick McKinnon, but they also have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let's not slight him either. Just because he hasn't lived up to that first round pick, the dude knows how to get in the end zone, and he does become a reliable target. We saw it earlier last year before he got injured. I think he had like 6 touchdowns before he got hurt in the red zone. Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire will make a way to fight for this roster spot, but Deneric Prince will make his life hell. That's going to be something so intriguing to watch as preseason unfolds. And I'm excited to see Deneric Prince come into the preseason. I think it's going to be something like we saw with Isaiah Pacheco. Deneric Prince is going to run with the ones, and you're going to be like, oh, he's got a roster spot. It's going to be hard for him not to make this team. With that, Chiefs Kingdom, that is my quick recap of day 2 action for the Kansas City Chiefs training camp. You let me know what caught your eyes today. If it was the Fresh Prince of Kansas City, if it was Rashee Rice making these ridiculous catches, you let me know what stood out to you. With that, I'm going to sign out, but before I do, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you did like this video, please leave that big thumbs up. Y'all take care. Peace.